Onions are often referred to as the easiest crop to grow. However, growing large onions are easier said than done. In this quick video, I'm going to take you through everything you need to know to grow large onions. From choosing the right types in your area, differences between starting from seed, set, or purchasing plants, and key growing tips you need to follow. This is Tim. Organic Backyard Gardening is focused on helping you grow more food with our tips and tricks. If you like gardening and want to grow more food, subscribe to this channel. The first step is selecting the right variety for your area. Onions are sensitive to day length. They begin to form a bulb when the temperature and the number of daylight hours reach certain levels. Varieties are generally classified into three categories: long day, where bulbing starts between 14 to 15 hours of daylight; short day, bulbing starts at 10 hours of daylight; and intermediate day, which bulbing starts at 12 to 13 hours of daylight. This picture shows which varieties are best where. In the United States, northern gardeners should plant long day onions. Long day onions will have a chance to produce lots of top growth before the daylight triggers bulbing. If short day onions were grown in the north, the onions would bulb too early and they would be generally smaller. Southern gardeners should plant short day onions. In the south, there is much less variation between day length and seasons. If long day onions were planted in the south, they may not experience enough day length to trigger the bulbing process. Step 2. How to start. You have three options. The first is onion plants, sometimes called onion starts. Onion plants are started by a nursery or onion company and dug up, bunched, and mailed out to you. They are typically mailed in bunches of 50. If you're buying plants, make sure they have about a diameter of the pencil. The other option is onion sets. These are dry, immature onion bulbs that are grown the season before. Sets are generally used for growing green onions, not giant onions. A lot of times these are available in big box stores. Onions have two cycles in nature. The first year, they're young and they form bulbs. The plant overwinters, and the second year, plant becomes reproductive. It uses the food inside the bulb to bloom, produce seeds, and then dies. A large set is more likely to have completed its young stage, so a cold spell in the spring could trigger a large set to become reproductive and go to seed. Smaller sets will generally give you more larger onions. Many times when buying at big box stores, you don't even know the variety you're getting, so I recommend either buying onion plants or starting your own from seeds. Starting from seed is very easy. I'm going to show you how to do this. I like this option because you can grow a lot of starts in a small amount of space with little effort. Onion seeds needed to be started about 8 to 10 weeks before your last expected frost. Onion seeds have a short shelf life. The germination rates start to decline after 1 year, so make sure you have fresh seeds. A great trick to start your onion seeds is to use an empty plastic salad green box. These are great because you can close the lid and use it as a mini greenhouse as your seeds are germinating. Then take organic seed starting soil and fill up the container at about halfway. In a container like this, I'll then make 3 little rows about 1 inch deep and about 1.5 inches apart. I'm growing Walla Walla onions. These are long day varieties because I'm in the northern climate. I'll then sow the seeds down each of the rows and then cover them up. Water them gently, and then close the lid. You can put them in a warm area like on top of your fridge or near a fireplace, and they should germinate in a few weeks. Once they germinate, put them in a sunny area or under a grow light. Make sure they don't dry out. Keep them moist. They should be ready to direct sow about 2 to 4 weeks before your last expected frost. I started these March 10th. It's now April 23rd. And they're ready to be sowed. I probably could have started them even a couple weeks earlier. Before transplanting, clip the tops. This will allow them to stay in the soil more straight, not fall over, and it'll also encourage growth. Now to get them out of the tray, I'm simply going to cut the sides of the tray and gently pull them out. The next step is separating them. They're very easy to separate. Don't worry about damaging them or breaking the roots. If you gently wiggle them apart, you'll see that they separate very easily. Now I'm going to wet the area where I'm going to be planting them in. Onions need full sun, so make sure you're planting them in this area that gets plenty of sunlight. Onions are heavy feeders, therefore they require high amounts of nutrients. This bed was amended with organic compost this spring, so the onions will do just fine. However, after transplanting, I like to give them a little bit more nitrogen, which we'll get into. The soil should be able to drain well and loose. Raised beds work well. Compacted soils may restrict bulb growth. For spacing, I'm using the square foot spacing method. I'm planting 4 onions per square foot. When planting, I just make a hole with my finger and I drop the roots down into the hole. I make sure I don't cover them up too deep. I like to make sure that I don't cover the first 2 leaves. In the 1 by 1 foot box, I'm planting them towards the corners of each box. You could also put an additional onion in the center and pull that onion out once it's a green onion. This will still allow space for the other 4 onions. At this spacing, they're about 6 inches apart. Anywhere larger than 8 inches is probably a little bit too far spacing and wasting space. So I'm going to get the rest of this bed planted, and then I'll take you through exactly how I fertilize them after transplanting. Each leaf that grows in the onion plant represents 1 ring on the onion bulb. So the trick is you really want a lot of green growth early on, and what will help with leaf growth is nitrogen. I'm using fish and kelp fertilizer from GS Plant Foods. This is OMRI certified. I've also used the Neptune Harvest brand as well with great results. I think this one was just a little bit cheaper on Amazon. I'll put a link to it in the description below to both of them. I'll use 1/4 cup to 1 gallon of water. This fertilizer is liquid soluble, meaning the plants can take this up very quickly. This is really helpful right after transplanting because it'll help reduce transplantation shock. I'll just evenly put a little bit on each transplant. Keep these moist and don't let them dry out. And while at it, I'm also going to give some to my chives and my garlic. Onions will really start to develop large bulbs about a month before they're ready to be harvested. You may cut back on both the fertilizing and watering at this point. Once 1/3 of the tops have turned brown and the stems have toppled over, stop watering the onion patch for 3 to 6 days to dry the skins out a bit. Harvest the onions and use your fingers or a very soft brush to remove any excess soil. Do not wash or rinse them. Place the bulbs on a warm, dry, well-ventilated location, spreading them out so they don't touch each other. After a few weeks, the skins will harden. Remove any excess foliage and leave about 1 inch of the stem intact. They are now cured for storage. I then place them in a mesh bag and I leave them in my basement, which is dark and cool and a perfect location to keep them long term. If you like this video, you'll probably enjoy learning from my other videos, like this one in the top right, how to build a raised bed with drip irrigation, which now has over 1 million views. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe by clicking in the bottom right. See you on the next video, and happy growing!